All right, well, here we are with some Civil War action. That's right. We're doing a movie that's still in theaters. This is a rare event. But I am joined by my lovely wife, Maja, and by my dear friend, Nathan. All in-house, all in the same recording studio. There's lots of lights, lots of monitors. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
Not kidding. That's furnished by 2 laptops. It looks like we're trying to send something into fucking outer space. But I don't know, man. I have been very excited since seeing this movie. After this movie ended the first time I saw it, I've seen it twice now in the theater. I thought after the first one, I'm definitely going to cover this movie. I have to cover this movie. Now, I don't want to do those up your own ass, this is very important things or anything like that. But I do think that this movie is phenomenal. And I'm going to do my best to talk about the merits of the movie while probably eviscerating the people that I think don't understand it. Because that's what leads to good discourse and not Civil War, is hating other people's opinions.
Certainly not polarization in movie opinions.
Divisiveness and polarization. No, but I think we'll have a lot to say. And this is going to be, you are, if you're not a member, you're going to get, I guess, the first hour or so of this discussion, depending on how long it goes. I'm not sure. Same goes on YouTube. So thanks for joining us on whatever platform you're joining us on. And it'll be on Rumble too. Yeah, it'll be on all those platforms. Any platform I can put it on, it'll be on. because that's what we're trying to do here. But look, I know that there is a lot of thoughts in this room. I know that this particular type of subject matter is very near and dear to me. I'm sure it is to Nathan, and I'm sure it is to Maja, and all in different ways. I think Nathan and I will probably talk more closely to the American political side of this without while trying to maintain the spirit of the movie and being as apolitical as possible. Maybe not. And I'm really curious about Maja's perspective on it too. I know that you were very moved by this movie the first time we saw it, and especially that last half hour. So it's I think it's a great movie. And I will be honest with you, when people say it's boring, I'm just not quite sure I understand where they're coming from on it. But I get it. It does have a leisurely pace at times. And then it's really contrasted by some big fucking action. So I guess it should be, at this point, since we're doing a movie covered in the theater, to say there will be spoilers. So if you don't want any spoilers, you should probably listen to one of those 7-minute reviews. That will get 50,000 times as many downloads as this one does. But if you want to get a deep dive on Civil War, stick around. So how you doing today, Nathan?
Very good. Very good. I will actually also proffer that I did not watch any of the reviews with spoilers because, I knew I was going to end up seeing it in the theater, and I'm very glad I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to spoil this movie before going to see it.
For sure. And Maja,
if you can avoid it.
If you can avoid
Sometimes you can't.
You can't, I know. And Maja, just like top down, high level, just how did you feel walking out that first day?
Well, first of all, it was not what I expected. I'm very high on Alex Garland, always. I'll see anything he's done. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, I don't know if I don't know what to think about this. And I was so incredibly positively surprised by the movie being something that the trailer is almost falsely giving an impression of. Like it's not that. It's not that. And I just really loved it, and I feel like I'm still kind of unpacking the emotional impact it had on me the first time. Mm-hmm. And seeing it again today, it's just so good. So fucking good.
Yeah. It's funny, I want to go around the room on this. The trailer, if you are in fact a member, you can listen to our trailer discussion. We actually watched a handful of trailers and gave what we thought the movie may or may not be about. And I think after seeing the Civil War trailer, I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if I really want to see, if we're going to get into this political divisiveness, I'm just not interested in seeing it. And I remember just sort of half going like, and then I was like, wait, isn't Civil War a comic? And I think I confused it with like a Marvel line in Civil War comics or some shit. And then I realized, oh no, this is going to be about something different. And the trailer does have I gotcha moments, and I will actually with some shame admit one of my issues I had with the trailer, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but I'm going to be honest and tell you what one of my problems with the trailer was, for no reason other than maybe my own prejudice. And I remember there's this moment where they show the snipers, and I'm like, why does he have green hair and why is he painted his fingernails? As fucking stupid and petty as that is, and it is stupid and petty, I want to admit that. And not because I don't think men should color their hair or paint their fingernails. I don't think that at all. But I just was like, okay, this guy thought to do this in the midst of a war. This is fucking stupid. This makes no sense to me. But that was me just going, why are we, what are we already, and you know what? I have a feeling Garland's just spinning around in his chair at home going, ha, 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 I got you too.
Yes, exactly.
So anybody in if you listen to this show, you can probably guesstimate as to where I fall politically, outside of really hating what the government has served us for such a long time, especially in our recent candidate choices. But I think it's, I think it was a real gut check for me to go, you know what? Just fucking wait. Just wait. Don't decide based off of one image. Don't think there's some kind of agenda being pushed. Don't just think that it's gonna, So I didn't want to admit that reality, but that's the reality. I was like, man, you know what? Kind of fuck you.
Well, what's interesting is from that exact same moment in the trailer, I had the opposite reaction. I was suddenly a bit more interested because I was like, all right, so you got, the colored hair and nail polish on a military sniper. And I didn't think of the logistics of that.
Right.
Doing that in wartime is probably a bad idea. But
who's got time for that?
It made me think, so you have what would be traditionally seen as left-wing kind of attributes, the free spirit type.
Of course.
And doing
more expressive with your own body, so to speak.
And the right-wing sniper role or the right-wing military role.
Sure.
I was like, okay, interesting. So I got the impression right away, even from the trailers, that it wasn't going to be a typical left versus right movie.
Right.
And so I appreciated that.
Yeah,
and
that's
got me
super astute of you, to be completely frank. So that's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely fell for it a little bit. What were some of your takeaways? I'm trying to remember how you felt on the trailer.
I was kind of just like going hands up in the air, American politics that I don't know shit about. And
God
yes,
bless you.
Yes, yeah. I'm one of those awful people who's willfully ignorant and privileged and everything. And yes, I am.
No.
I fully admit that.
The awful people are the Brits who are going to keep telling us all about our politics. Right, Craig?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and I remember feeling sad because I'm like, I really like Garland. What is he doing? But I was so wrong, and I love to be proven wrong. I love to be shown like, fuck you for assuming something.
Yeah, and it's funny, and I think this is a good litmus test because I think what I do and appreciate about just this part of our discussion is that reality of really this message that I think is very important to the film Civil War and something that Alex Garland was trying to get across. Now, I made a lot of speculation as to what Garland was trying to say, and I think Manja and maybe even Nathan read tons of interviews about what he actually has said about this film. Because one of the things I see people saying is that is this real, a lot of the commentary I'm seeing around Civil War is this reductionist policy of, so he's saying war is bad, big deal, right? Or what is he trying to say? Or what is the movie about? What is the movie trying to say? And I think it's trying to say a few things. I think it's trying to say something about the importance of dispassionate journalism. We take the pictures they think, right? That's something I think that Kirsten Dunst's character says. We just show, we take the pictures, let them decide, type of thing. And I tell you, the more I exist in the world, and the more I've been fooled by a video that might annoy me or anger me, which I won't get into the details of, but I remember watching a video, getting pissed off about it, and then going, oh, I've been duped.
Yeah.
I've been duped by what they're showing me. And I'm just not going to let that happen again, you see things like a guy gets hit in the face with a brick on Twitter, and you go, "That's horrible," and then you go, "Oh no, he raped that guy's kid," and you go, "Oh wow, I didn't know that."
Yeah.
Like so, this whole idea of like what we're being shown, how do we make heads or tails of it? It's very, very difficult now. But I think all that bullshit aside, I think that it's really, really gutsy. I've heard word salad, sort of Orwellian terms like both sideism. I've heard a word like these terms I hear people say, both sideism, other whataboutism. And I'm like, why do we, how is it that we can just throw these terms around and just be okay with the fact that people just sort of accept them with very little thought? Like whataboutism? You mean hypocrisy? That matters, man.
Yeah.
And in both sidism, one guy being bad and another guy being bad, if they're both bad, yes, we should talk about both of them. That's the fucking point. We don't just absolve one because he's on our fucking team.
That's exactly the thing. He wants there to be a conversation, not just a label slapped on something.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting you mentioned context, because that was another criticism I kept seeing. Oh, well, we needed more context. We needed essentially more kind of political packaging, more explaining all the history and everything like that. And I'm like, but wait a minute. You don't demand that from the little clips you see on the news.
Exactly.
You get that 1 minute long story.
Exactly.
And you're going to go with that. That's going to form your opinion on everything.
It is.
Never mind the context. Never mind the points of view of the people involved, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And yet from this movie, which, gives you this great, road trip where you see these
pretty fucked out, fucking shitty road trip
with all these horrible little vignettes, and yet you want to know as much as you can about each vignette. I get that. That's a human, attribute. But yet, why aren't you also doing that in your day-to-day life?
Right. Absolutely. Yes, exactly. And I think that's the problem. And I think that's really the brilliant choice of this movie, I think, in Civil War is that we start at the end of the war. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the alien invasion. I want to see the movie where we're already under alien occupation and how we're going to get out of it. Because how we got there, who cares? And in this, it's less about how do we get there, who cares? And I think that's another criticism I see. It's more about we're here, or if you're not careful, this is where you're headed, to this place where human life is really, really of little value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if they are not on your side. And that is really a dark way to think. That's a really dark way to exist in the world. There used to be a saying in America, in North America, in the United States specifically, and it was, I don't agree with you, man, but I really will defend your right to say it. That doesn't exist in common parlance anymore. Now what we say is, you disagree with me so you are now the other. You're literally a danger and you're my enemy. Yeah. It's really becoming and that I think is Alec Garland's warning is we treat each other like enemy class. Yeah. We just, because I'm on this side and you're on that side, and you can come at Garland, you can come at anybody. When I say I'm not voting for any of these guys, people get pissed at me and they call me a fence sitter, and they go, it must be easy for you. And I go, do you think it's easy for me that everybody hates me because I won't play their stupid fucking game? It's not. And I'm not saying I'm fucking Alex Garland, but that guy put himself out there by making it the way he made it.
Yeah. You
have California, let's be real, it's a blue state. You have Texas, it's a red state. Why are they in an alliance? It is short-circuiting people's minds when they watch this movie, and I love that.
Yeah, me
it's
too.
Great. Short-circuit their silly little mind. Is this where we've come from?
Yeah, because are you so programmed to have a side that you cannot comprehend a concept that these things could come together, that people could come together?
Right.
It's scary.
I think you guys will agree, and I know Nathan, you and I have talked about this before, but it's really become a religion, this idea. And I mean that in probably the worst sense. Yeah. Especially, it's very, I don't know, sectarian violence. It's. There's
a tendency on both sides now to take two things that just literally make me want to scream. And one is that like this concept that someone's opinion or their words is violence.
Right.
It's like, no, that's someone's opinion in words.
Correct.
That's not violence.
Correct.
And then the other concept is, and so therefore my actual violence is justifiable.
Right.
And it's like, that doesn't follow either.
That doesn't follow either.
And perhaps most importantly, you see that's exactly what this movie is really saying. Like,
Right.
this is when, the violence, you have just taken in stride.
Mm-hmm.
No one in this movie shows any remorse or regret about taking another human life.
None. Because that's war.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe the regret and stuff comes after, but in the moment it is deeply callous and it is without hesitation. And that's what war has to be. And that's scary.
Or what it becomes, certainly.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're watching in this movie, there are these firefights of Americans killing each other in the streets with all the beautiful modern technology that we've been using to exterminate people in other countries with.
Yep.
And you see that violence at home in this movie and you go, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
And you see, oh, here's some guy getting shot at by a guy from a roof and now they're trying to drag him to safety. He bleeds out in front of everybody and it bums everyone out for the next, the press, people in the press, our main stars, right? The Kirsten Dunst, Wagner Moura, Kaylee Spaney, or is it Spaney? I'm not sure how she pronounces it. And then, what's my guy's name? From Dune.
Sammy.
Stephen McKinley.
Stephen McKinley. Yep. Thank you. It affects them because you see their faces when it happens. And especially Jesse, who's the young character who tags along with them, her world is being just completely turned upside down to be in the situation. And then as you get used to that, it almost becomes a rush, which is interesting. But yeah, it is this callous treatment of, you're like, oh, that guy died. Nobody cares. They go upstairs. There's a wounded guy. They execute him. They capture the other guys. They just execute him.
Yeah.
And that, people, it's really funny that we have the audacity to look at another country and look at what we would call quote unquote barbarism and somehow think that we're just above it and we're deadly close to it.
Yeah.
Very close to it.
Well, and that's Kirsten Dunst's message towards the beginning of the movie when she's sitting with Sammy. She says, I took all these pictures to try to show people and warn them what this was.
Yeah.
And yet it's still
and now here we are.
And I almost want to say, well, yeah, because it wasn't the fact that you were there that was different. Or rather, being in a different location, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. But people
correct
are frightfully similar.
Yeah.
Across cultures and nation states.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So you have that warning is going to fall on deaf ears unless you kind of really make it explicit that it could happen here. And I think that's what Garland's trying to do.
Oh sure.
He's trying to take that step beyond the photojournalism and say, humanity suffers from this tendency towards violence.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think one of the criticisms of the movie is like, why make it America? Like, oh, why? It doesn't matter because this could be about any place. And yeah, exactly. And Garland has said that it's not supposed to be a criticism of the United States because this could happen anywhere. But in case of America, direct quote, in the case of America, there's an extra danger given its power and importance in the world.
Right. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I think if I never, that's the other thing. I never took anything personally in this movie. I wasn't like, how dare you, British man, have an opinion on what, right? Because I do see that all the time. I do see people especially on social media being like, America's insane and here's why. And I'm like, you're tweeting from a place that literally locked somebody up for being outside during COVID. Are you sure you're not a crazy person too? So
sanity is relative.
Indeed. And like you just said so eloquently a moment ago, Nathan, is it doesn't matter. People are very similar.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm from a Nordic utopia that has actual neo-Nazis in the government right now. So it's going great over there too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not, and it's funny when you I don't know if people took your utopia sarcastically, but she's being very sarcastic.
I'm being very sarcastic because I know that it's often the assumption that the Nordic countries are some perfect utopia. That's
Exactly.
really not the case.
Well, and it's always entertaining to me that, we use the term utopia and everything, but it's literally Greek for nowhere.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
You will not find it.
The utopian Nordic healthcare system. That's the one.
Yeah.
That you have
That's
a lot
the
of
one.
experience with.
I can really call it fantastic and utopian.
It's like Star Trek over there, huh? They just pass the thing over you. You're good to go.
When are we going to get that? I'm so like, we need
Medical
that.
tricorders. That'd be nice. No, but I think, I think this movie is just it. When you watch it, you can't help but feel a bit heartbroken by what you're seeing, and I think that's the real important part of the message in the movie while watching it is just feeling this real callousness has developed.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And it's funny because when you hear people talk online, I don't know, man. I think if I don't know, this is just me purely speculating, but I have a sneaking suspicion that if you took your intense elements of the left and or your intense elements of the right and gave them a button to make the other ones disappear, I think a lot of people would push that fucking button because they see each other as literal enemies at this point.
Everything would be perfect if only we could get rid of these people. It's like,
Exactly.
that's not how any of this works.
Nope, it never has, never will.
Yep.
And it is really, this movie made me go, wow, what, again, a very gutsy call to decide not to put this in, to make the politics obscure, I think was fantastic.
Yeah.
We don't know what kind of we don't know if we're dealing with a conservative or a liberal or a democratic president. We have no idea which he is. It doesn't really matter. And people tried to trap him. They said, "Oh, I'll offer him." And were you conjuring Trump? Were you imagining yourself as? He's like, "Nope, I sure wasn't. I was just being an actor, pretending to be a president."
They gave me some nines.
And there's just this incessant just desire to want to do that, to want to push people into this situation. And it's funny because I think just seeing what horror could grip the country if we continue on this path. And really, I firmly believe that. I really do. I think I recently saw, was it Hillary on Jimmy Fallon, and she said something, Jimmy said something like, "What do you say to the American people who are upset that these are the only two choices we have?" And I think her quote was, "Get over yourself."
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm like, and he goes, "Yeah, let's get over yourself." And everyone claps. I'm like, are you fucking serious right now? Like, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. Like that. No, this is what we give you, and this is what and that's just crazy, and it's shitty. And I think leaving the theater, I was like, what an accomplishment. And we're going to get into we're talking a lot about the idea of the film. We'll talk about some of the specifics of the film, but what an accomplishment to be able to do that. And my hope is that people come out of there, whether they're conservative or liberal, and they say, or somewhere in between, or centrist or extreme in either case, whatever. And they say something like, "You know what? That's pretty scary shit that's going on in that movie." And maybe we should stop hating each other for just a minute and stop really, really demonizing each other. I mean, it's really insane to
And
watch
romanticizing violence. Because
Absolutely.
there's nothing romantic about the violence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because in part, you're not rooting for anybody or anything like that.
That's the point.
It's just violence.
That's the point.
And the amount of the way people have gotten desensitized to violence over just seeing shit on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I try to steer clear of that.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. And you're right. That's the issue. And I think that's one of the successes of the movie is that you just see two different groups of people fighting each other.
Without mercy.
Without mercy. And there's this particular scene where there's this firefight at an apartment complex, and there's this guy, he's pinned behind a pillar and he can't get away, and they try to toss smoke to give him cover. He goes a little early, he gets shot, and they try to staunch the flow of blood, but clearly it's a terrible, terrible arterial hit of some sort, and he bleeds out right in front of everybody. And it doesn't matter if he's on one side or the other side. The point is this is a fucking guy you probably could have sat down with and talked to him about basketball or comics or movies or whatever the fuck.
Yep.
And now he's dead because of why? Because we couldn't figure it the fuck out. We couldn't sit here and talk and have a discussion. And it's really creepy. And we have this, we feel like we're so superior because we don't descend into this religious violence. And I'm like, it is religion. It's just a different religion. It's secular religion. If you don't think that you guys hate each other with the religious zeal of any religious group that hated another, you're crazy, because you absolutely fucking do. It's the same shit. You know, the screaming and the yelling and I hate you and you're wrong and you're the enemy. And it's horrible on both sides of the fucking spectrum. Like, it really is shitty. And I mean, it's no mistake if you listen to this show, you probably know where I sit politically. It's somewhere in La La Land. You know, it's very, you know, I think probably a decade ago I called myself a libertarian. I definitely don't anymore. I think that party's kind of been co-opted by conservatives and shit at this point.
Yeah.
But you know, I think the bumper sticker that probably best served me was, I think it went along the lines of, I would like my gay married friends to be able to protect their marijuana with shotguns.
Yeah.
Pretty much summarizes what I'm looking for out of my fucking life. You know what I mean? And it's funny because now it's just, it seems to be such one topic things. Like, we sit on this one topic and then we fight about this one topic and then we literally hate people we don't even fucking know. And that's what disturbs me the most, you know?
Yeah. And we assume their motives. We assume everything rather than talk to them and ask them their motives and ask them
just
their
based on
feelings.
one thing, you label a person in one camp or another and believe that they stand for everything that specific camp stands for.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the individuality of a human being completely wiped away.
Completely wiped away. And I think that's my great fear is collectivism. And that's another thing I think this movie shows us deeply is I think when the group identity supersedes the individual's identity, that's when you can just go, oh, it's very simple to just say, right? I think there was this a few summers back before the whole Charlottesville horror. I think there was it was like, oh, punch a Nazi or something. And I remember thinking, yeah, Nazis suck. Real Nazis, by the way. Yeah. And then my fear became, but who determines who's a Nazi? Right? What if I think he's a Nazi, but I'm not really sure? What if they say they're a Nazi, but I've never witnessed them engage in such behavior before? Do I just get to kill them? Like, I mean, we got to be really careful about that idea, right?
Or if you're standing next to someone and someone across the room just shouts, "That guy's a Nazi." What
are they
what
pointing
do
to you?
Yeah.
Hopefully they're pointing to the guy with the red laces and the shaved head.
Yeah. And
fuck.
And or maybe they're pointing to the guy, you know, you're on the streets of Hollywood and you see the guy in the complete, you know, Nazi regalia. Mm-hmm. And so you just start to beat the hell out of him, but he's just an extra for a movie they're doing down the street, you know,
exactly.
Or Roger Waters performing for The Wall.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
For which he recently got in trouble for, which he has been doing since the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now suddenly it's a problem.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's another thing too, right? But no, and it's the same shit, you know. It's like like assuming a transgender person's a fucking sexual deviant and then hating all of those. It's the same shit, you know. Like I don't know. It's fucked up, and we're just so simple minded, and that's I think what bothers me. And I think that simple mindedness is at the forefront of this movie, and I think that's why this movie is so successful to me. Is that it really. I don't know about you guys, but watching the movie, I'm like, yeah, this is not super far-fetched to me at all. Not even a little bit. I think I was like, this is horrifying. It plays like a horror movie in some senses. The sound editing, the sound mixing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The weapons fire are cranked up to Michael Mann levels. When rounds kick, when things kick off, you jump. You go, whoa! I mean, there's just these stark cuts into gunfire, and
it feels real, and I know he wanted to make it feel real, not just like a cinematic music, bombastic music playing type of thing. Like you're there.
Yeah, for sure. So no, man, I think I'm very, very happy. I'm very happy that this movie exists. I hope people that found it boring. I saw a couple of our own listeners say, they shut it off after half hour, or
the people who claim it's wasted potential because it didn't take a political side.
Right.
And it's that's his exact point.
Exactly. So. It's not about the sides. It's about the divide and the human lives and the horrible devastation and suffering that comes from a wedge being driven between people.
Yeah. It's not about the sides. It's about the divide. That's a good quote. And that's exactly what it is. And it goes beyond that too. And it's funny because I think one of the meta aspects of this movie is that, you know, a lot of times, I know Garland had a lot of positive things to say about journalists, and I think there probably is a lot of positive things to say about many journalists who have come and gone. And then there's the corporate press, right? The corporate press, I think, is probably one of the more scariest parts of all of this, because the corporate press is part of the problem. The corporate press, you know, they beat the drum for their political side, because that's what they're supposed to do, because that's who pays their fucking bills. And then they just whip their own base up into a frenzy, all to get more eyes on their content, to get more money. And let's be real, your CNNs and your Fox Newses, they're not news agencies, man. They're entertainment companies. They're literally entertainment companies. They're not there to tell you the fucking news, man. And I think maybe what Garland's getting to when he says journalists are these types of people. Like, I like that. Another thing we see in this movie, besides we don't know what side did what or what side didn't do what. And the other thing I really appreciate about this movie is that the actual journalists, Lee, Joel, Sammy, and Jesse, they don't have an opinion either.
Yeah, they try to stay as impartial.
They're just like, we're here to capture what's happening, as much shit as we can, in the most intense moments that you could possibly imagine. I mean, you've seen these images throughout time, the person on fire, Vietnam. I mean, all these crazy images that people see. And then you hope what you're seeing is real. You hope it's not computer generated. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, but you know, you hope what you're seeing is a real image. But I like how they don't even venture an opinion. They're just like, we want the story.
Well, and I think that's why their photojournalists are kind of the main thrust, because we don't ever see one of Joel or Sammy's articles or anything like that. Right. So we don't know if words can communicate, you know, things. And in fact, that's what the journalist is supposed to be doing, communicating what happened and their feelings about it. The most impactful pieces are really that.
Yeah.
And that's why they also can harbor the most kind of bias and everything like that, because you are giving the feelings of, you know, one person with their own views. But focusing on photojournalism gives you that more, well, this is an image. And she even says, you know, we take the images and other people think about them.
Right.
And I like that idea. And I think there's a reason why the two kind of main focus journalists are the photojournalists.
Yeah.
But I will say, I mean, I also realize that images can be super biased.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like that. So you even have a realm where, as impartial as you try to be, like just you send your news center, you know, 30 photos, they're only going to go with one.
Right.
And they're going to pick that one, you know? So, you know, it can be that you can easily make that work, you know, an exercise in partiality, but you don't ever see the actual characters do that here.
Right.
And I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, they're less interested in, they're more interested in taking the photo that captures the moment that they were feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, Garland is specifically trying to go for old-fashioned reporters and how important that is, how important it is to report on a thing without a bias.
Right. To be factual about it.
Yeah.
At 8:45, here's what happened. This person went over here and shot this person. This person returned fire and shot this person. And then these people died and these people left and people were sad.
Yeah.
Instead of, this is a result of what we see when X, Y, and Z. Like you're painting and now you're making a narrative.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care about your narrative.
Yes.
And I think that's, it's funny. Controlling the narrative is such an important part of corporate press.
Yeah.
Controlling the narrative.
I will say that's the one part of this movie that I found was a little underplayed, was that you had these journalists running around with different military groups and everything, and even being embedded and stuff like that. And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
but the military was at no point controlling their message or anything like that, or like, destroying photos, stuff like that. I'm like, they would be doing that.
Yeah.
No matter what their best intentions are, I could see, just they're running along with a captain who's like, no, you're not taking that video of us executing these 3 prisoners, hooded prisoners.
Right.
That's out of here, because they would. You know what I mean?
That does happen. Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that there's no one trying to push an over, and you can't do it all in one movie.
Right.
But like no one in the military of the Western forces or the government ever tries to change their message or change their images or even really considers them at all.
Right.
And I don't know that that's how it would go down.
Maybe because they're on the brink of victory.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like maybe in the beginning that was the thing, or maybe not.
Propaganda is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
it generates its own.
It does.
And it prevents counter narratives.
Yeah.
So
I do know, I don't know a ton about war journalism, but I know that it is more, I know that happens, but I don't think it happens that frequently, because when you're getting shot at, you're like, well, fuck. I'm just trying to get my guys not dead, and I'm trying to eliminate the enemy. Maybe
and
after the fact,
a lot of the in say like World War II and the Vietnam War and everything. Well, I have no doubt that the press and the military shared a message in World War II.
Absolutely.
It was a very common cause type of argument.
Yep.
But the death rate among them was huge.
Yeah.
So I do understand they do get up in there in the front and everything in a wayward mortar shell, and you're done.
Sebastian Youngers, did you see his thing? I didn't see it yet. He's the guy who wrote. He did some. I think he did some war journalism in the Middle East.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what the name.
He's the guy who wrote
Yeah.
Tribe.
Yeah.
That book Tribe. But no, I wonder about that. Obviously there always has been war propaganda. In fact, they just employed a lot of their own. Like a lot of those guys were military guys who were photographs, and they would write stories, and we knocked the hell out of the Nazis today, and blah blah blah. And yeah, that's the other issue. It's like who's giving us the fucking message? Yeah. I just watched the I don't know if she's the new CEO of NPR or she used to be part of Wikipedia and stuff. Her TED Talk was, I'm not joking. It was Orwellian as fuck.
Yeah.
And I was like, and no one in this audience is saying anything. She's like, there's the truth, but let's not let the truth come between us, or whatever the fuck she was saying. You have to go back and listen to it.
The truth can get in the way of taking action or something like that. And it's like, yes.
What?
Exactly.
Because you want your actions to be in line with the truth.
Yeah.
So if you learn something new that is true,
Right.
it might stop you from making action, which is called a mistake.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was really creepy. And and it's funny. I just say, well, now Wikipedia is compromised.
Yeah.
Like you can't. That's the thing. You get to a point where what do you do with all this information? But I think with these journalists embedded in this horrific war, the end of the war, really.
Yeah.
And you can feel it. You can feel the excitement of that final push, where they're really pushing for the president, where they're like, we can end this. God knows how long it's been going on. Do we know, Maja, how long
I don't
the war
think we
lasted? No. But pretty scary. So in terms of in terms of some of the scenes, Maja has laid out, I guess, the order in which this movie sort of takes place, which it's a bulleted list for simplicity. So it opens with a bunch of, I guess, should I just run down this? How do you guys want to do this?
Well, I think one of the most unrealistic things in the film happens in the very beginning, where someone who is evidently, Gen Z or millennial, young, very young, decides to suicide bomb people trying to get water out of a truck, which as a political statement doesn't make much sense. But to his credit, I don't think Alex Garland really presents who this suicide bomber is or whatever.
No.
But the fact that they think someone that young cares enough about anything to blow themselves up, that's not been my experience.
I don't know, man. I've been seeing guys light themselves on fire.
Oh, that's
lately.
true. That is
fucking nuts, dude.
Maybe this was a little precursor of that.
I mean, I don't know anything about that gentleman. I don't know. I mean, there's been a couple.
Yeah. It was horrific when the monks did it.
Horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It could have, and who knows the mental stuff. I mean, we're applying our own logic to that person. Who the fuck knows where they're at that point?
Well,
maybe.
It was mostly because after donning the suicide vest or whatever, she runs out with a gigantic American flag.
Yeah.
Like runs across the plaza towards this truck surrounded by cops, which is doling out water to people.
Or not doling out water.
Yeah. Either way, the people trying to get the water are dead now, and the cops are dead now. So
maybe that person, maybe those people were on the wrong side.
clearly, they were on the wrong side of the truck. Maybe the other people had enough cover.
Yeah, maybe.
To survive.
maybe they were the enemy class to this young suicide vest wearer.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? That when you see that's just one of those things. You go, well, why?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Because that's what fucked up shit happens when people are at their wits' end and they just lose their fucking shit. But that is a crazy opening.
Yeah.
Just boom. Fuck. It's at that moment when you're in the theater and you go, whoa. And you just see that Jocelyn. You don't know. It's not saying anybody's at fault except the suicide bomber. You just see Jocelyn. People started getting aggressive with the police. The police get aggressive back. It's been aggressive. Yeah. It's been contentious.
A cop hits Jesse in the face with a baton, but accidentally.
Correct.
Yeah. Which I found that is like a good nod.
It happens all the time, that kind of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
People get banged into.
It's a nod to the horrificness of group violence.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you see this. You've ever been in a pit or on the outside of a pit and you catch an elbow, you're like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's that fast.
Suddenly seeing stars. Yeah.
Suddenly, now we're fighting. Right?
If I even know who you are.
And that's for a bunch of people trying to have a good time,
yeah.
Let alone people at their wits' end, at the end of a war or seemingly at the end of a war. Last ditch effort. I'll blow this fucking place up. But it's and this is sort of where we meet Jesse. Now, I would really like to talk about the cast here. I want to talk about some of these performances. I think Kirsten Dunst is phenomenal in this movie. She's insanely good. And in fact, Kaylee Spaney is too. The whole crew. Wagner Moore, I think we said it already, and Stephen McKinley Henderson. I don't know about you guys, but I immediately believe the Lee character. And I then subsequently believed in the Jesse character, which was like these two women at the opposite ends of their career, and just these great scenes of, I don't know, it feels like she's just been there a while. Do you know what I'm trying to say? When I'm watching Kirsten Dunst, she just feels like a veteran in this case. She seems a bit tired, but she has this sharp experience in her. And I don't know, she knew to get behind the car. She gave the girl the vests. There is something in her performance that is just, she has that I've seen so much shit in my day. And you just go, man, she looks tired. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean that positively as it relates to the experience of her character. Like, when you're watching the Vietnam movie and, the new guy gets dropped in, Jesse's the new guy. Yeah. Lee's like, I've been in the fucking shit, dude. Like when they get there and in Full Metal Jacket, when they get to the guys and the guys are hanging out with like dead bodies, hey, this is my bro. Like that's Lee, and like you're the new guy for figuring it out.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to live an existence where you just witness these horrible things one after another. And she does seem very desensitized and tired, and like she's kind of lost herself in the midst of all of it. But it, like early on in the movie when she's in her hotel room, she's like having this, she's in the bathtub and having
Yes.
flashes of all these horrible scenes.
Yeah. The guy lighting on fire and the people just stepping away from him.
Yeah.
Just, that's what I mean. You see the toll it takes on her, let alone the poor fuck who's getting set on fire. And then you just, again, you what are we doing to each other? What the fuck are we doing to each other?
That is one of the most horrific. That is actually, I would offer it as perhaps the most horrific image in the movie, and it is a flashback. It is just something that she's carrying with her always.
Yeah, yeah. You can never unsee that shit.
No,
and yeah, these people. I mean, to go through what she looks like a woman who, when we see the things she's seen, she presents that well. She presents that she is in fact carrying this, and you believe her.
She's got that 1,000 Island stare.
1,000 yard. Yeah. She's like,
No, it was,
yeah. It's awesome, but yeah, and suddenly we realize that there's a story to tell, and we meet all these journalists in a hotel, and they're going to take it on the road. They're going to hit the road. It's going to be a road trip.
oh, what fun.
Garland has these stories often where it's just people who come together on a very extraordinary journey.
Yeah.
And just learning about them, and it's as much about survival as their personalities and who they are as people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I'm trying to think of the last Garland movie I saw before this one. Would it have been Ex Machina?
Men is the most recent one.
Men. Okay, yeah.
Annihilation, Ex Machina.
Holy shit, he did Annihilation too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. But did you, when you, as far as I kind of want to talk a little bit more about the them hitting the road. But when they decide to get on the road, I think, I don't know about you guys, but how did you feel when they start piling into the van, or when we realize Jesse's going to go along? She's like, "Oh, you're my hero, going to go along," and she's like, "Yeah, you." I think she says something along the lines of, "Get yourself a helmet and Kevlar." Like, what are you? A, what are you doing? B, get these things. Keep the jacket. I got to go up 10 flights of stairs, and I'll see you when I see you. Come to find out, next thing you know, she's talked her way into the van with through Joel, and she's going along, and Lee's not having it. What is it about that? Why is Lee upset about that? What do you want to proffer any thoughts on that?
I think she already sees a little bit of herself in Jesse, and is protective over this girl because she knows what she's become herself and doesn't want another young person to go through the same kind of horrible life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Lee as a mentor, etc. But this, I think the dynamics between all these people really work for me. And I don't know. I feel, I like the protectiveness. I like that she sees herself in her, but also she must know the futility of even, if she sees herself in this girl, she must know the futility in talking her out of it, right?
I think that might be kind of why she does give up fairly easily.
Yeah, because she's like,
well, it's not on me.
Yeah.
When you get killed.
Right. Fair. You're an adult. You're making your own choices.
I like a lot, too, that we have a multi-generational thing going on. We have Sammy, who's the weazened elder. and then you have the two kind of middle-aged folks, and then the young Jesse. And I feel like it makes a difference in a way how they see different things, And Sammy, there's this one moment where they are talking about, they stumble across that town that seems untouched or relatively so. And Kirsten's like, "Oh, this just, reminds me of everything." Did she say reminds me
Everything
of
that I used to see or used to be? Did you write it down?
I did.
Yeah.
She says that it reminds me of everything that I'd forgotten, and Sammy says, "That's funny you say that. To me, it reminds everything I remembered."
Exactly. And I do feel like that's a generational thing. That's
Absolutely.
that's having that more elderly touch, of okay, I've now experienced so much that I know just how aberrant this is.
Indeed.
And I think that makes him a little bit more sensitized to everything.
Right.
And makes him a good mentor to Jesse as well in the little bit of time they get to spend together.
Yeah.
So I really thought that they structured the characters really well.
Yeah.
All four of them.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this, you can tell Lee, and that happens. There's a couple of moments in the movie where that happens, where Lee's really going at Jesse. And you see them kind of, they want Lee to back off. They're like, "What the fuck, Lee?" like she says something, and I think it's Joel who's like, "What the fuck, Lee?" She's being just hard on Jesse. It's that harsh tutelage for the person coming up, but
Yeah, because she wants Jessie to know that this is no game. This is
Exactly.
horrifying. She wants her to know what she's really getting into.
yeah, because you come at when you're that age, and I think she's like 25. This girl, she looks
She looks
17.
12. The first time I'm like, what is this actual child doing in the riot with the camera?
They're rescuing this child, right?
Yeah, she's like 25, which is crazy. And I think it's at that age, and when you're early to mid 20s, there is this sort of excitement, this idea of, oh, it's going to be this exciting thing, and yay. And I mean, just look at the age of military recruits, right? And then it's holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
And then and Lee knows the holy fucking shit part.
The first moment like that for her is the gas station. And the way she's mad at herself afterwards in the car, like, I didn't even think of taking a picture.
It's great.
I didn't think about my camera being on me. And Lee is kind of like, yep, here you go, kid.
Excellent dialogue. I think that's a great choice by Garland to put it that way. I don't know if he wrote that, but when they get there, and that's what I mean, when they get out on the road, I don't know if you guys get this, but it's Mad fucking Max. You don't know what's going on out there. You have no idea. And that sense of good luck.
Yeah.
It's really Wagons West type of shit. Good luck out there. I don't know what you're going to find.
And at the same time, weirdly, there's these kind of cozy moments. Like the camping overnight at the empty mall and the gunfire at the horizon. And there's just the way they talk and the way the beautiful shots linger. I'm like, this feels cozy.
Yeah.
It's strange contrast.
I think it's supposed to. I think it's supposed to feel like a respite from the chaos. And in how you can find it in even the most unexpected circumstances, like a Joel laying on the street of a parking lot while the girl sleeps in a fucking tailgate.
Yeah.
That is just an extreme comfort that you get in the moment. You see this in films like Band of Brothers. Like when you watch these movies and these guys are in these horrid conditions, and then you see them just catch a little bit of sleep, and you're like, thank God, good for you. In a foxhole.
Yeah.
Freezing. You're like, hey, he got to sleep a little today. That's nice. And it does. And I think it feels cozy by design because it is a small measure of comfort in a really chaotic situation that they find. I mean, they're driving into the fucking heart of the lion, heart of darkness.
Do you think they charged JCPenney for that advertising? Product placement?
26% APR on your JCPenney card and a crashed helicopter to boot. Yeah. It's crazy. That's the first credit card I got into trouble with as a kid.
Was JCPenney?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Well,
I was told to get a department store credit card and then to buy things and then pay them off and start building my credit.
That paying things off is the important
part. The second part I didn't do. The first part I did. And I was like, oh, I got to pay for these? I thought I just waved my card around and you gave me jeans.
This is just extra money, right?
Exactly.
I had a funny reaction seeing this the first time to the empty malls and the devastation and just the desolation of everything, because everybody knows by this point that I'm not from America. And usually when I watch American movies, I'm just like, movie. But now it looked like any place around here. I'm like, fuck, this feels so real. This could happen right here. This could be the street that we drive on.
Right.
It just made a different kind of impact on me.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that the movie does that. This could happen on a street. And that's one of the benefits of this being a road trip is you do see that in the movie. You get to see a rural spot. You get to see, the heart of DC. You get to see different types of spots. And you can imagine that where these things will take place and how they will in fact happen. And I love that. But
I also love the smash cut from the night at the mall to the gunfight.
excellent.
It goes from moment of peace to loud sound guns.
Yeah, just guys with M4s.
Yeah.
All kinds of shit. Boom, boom. And you see the little helmets and the guys. And the thing I love about that, and this is why I think the scene structure is so brilliant in this movie, is that I think what's brilliant about the scene structure is that right there is we see, not only do we see them smashing from calm to intense, we also see that intensity take many different types, many different forms, depending on where they are. And the threats are all unique on one level. Like that first stop at the gas station, that Mad Max moment where they get there and they get out and they're just like, I just love how they're deciding, well, here's a gas. They have to, I think you don't want to take for granted that moment where they're about to peel off the exit and they go, well, there's a gas station. Should we stop?
Yeah.
And it's not, should we stop because, well, we could get more time? No, it's, is this safe or not? We don't even know. And that's what's happened to this countryside. It's become dangerous. It's become like any other war-torn countryside.
Yeah.
Where you see a war-torn countryside and you go, well, we don't know who these people are. Are they going to kill us today or not? And actually, when Walking Dead was at its best, this is kind of what it reminded me of. Was, well, we could go that way. Who are these fucking guys? I don't know these fucking guys. And they have to make that decision. It doesn't seem to be that any of them are armed. They have press passes. I guess the press get a little bit of leeway in this movie because they do say, hey, we got press, we're here. And three guys with assault rifles just chilling at the gas station. And we go, well, hopefully they talk to us. Hopefully they're not weird or something crazy happens. And we got to just decide now, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, and you get this sense of defensiveness on the part of the gas station workers because it's like, okay, we have what they want, gas. Mm-hmm. We also have 3 guns, trained on them. Yeah. They don't have anything, it seems.
Doesn't seem.
But yet there's still just this super tension and this like real, they're not trying to negotiate from like a place of power or anything. Mm-hmm. They're just like, oh, wait, you got some Canadian money? Mm-hmm. All right, maybe we can make a deal. I like everything about that interaction.
Yeah, the tension. I love that we're talking about the tension here because isn't that really the part of our lives that I think maybe Garland doesn't want us to take for granted? You go to the grocery store today, depending on the neighborhood you're in, minimal tension.
Yeah.
Minimal tension, you go to the grocery store.
You're not going to haggle using foreign currency.
Nope. There's minimal tension at the grocery store in April on the 21st in 2024. I don't know if that's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
And that wasn't always the case. We had the gas shortage in the 70s. Yeah. You could only go on certain days of the week based on your license plate. If you did, you were in trouble. There were fights. People pulled guns on people in gas stations in the 70s. And thus, Road Warrior was born, the movie. Very much going, hey, see where we're going? So I think that tension, I like how we all felt it in the theater. We feel the tension. Some of us feel the tension because we go, wow, guns are scary. Some of us feel the tension because we go, they don't know these guys. These they don't look like gas station and fucking employees. I go, those guys are armed, you're not. I feel that tension.
Yeah.
What if they want your truck? What if they want this? How much law and order is there? We don't know. And we don't need to be fucking told in a voiceover. We just need to see it and feel it when we're watching the movie. And then, of course, Jesse hops out of the car in that scene and goes around back, and there are these 2 guys hanging up. You think they're dead for a minute, and they're not.
Nope.
And the creepiest guy's name's Dave, played by Jefferson White. Dave walks down behind her. He's checking out her ass like 3 times. He's just watching her ass. And they walk down to this thing, and he's holding the gun. He's got it like strapped across his chest, and you can feel the tension just ramps up. small, defenseless Jesse. Maybe small, defenseless isn't the way to say it. Maybe small, less assertive Jesse.
Yeah.
And then the thing I love about the way that scene concludes is when Lego is down there and knows how to change this. Yeah. She knows how to take control of the situation by going, hey, why don't you stand over there so I can get a picture? He's like, all right, cool. I'm fucking cool now.
Yeah.
Suddenly he's the cool dude because at first he's kind of got this leering eye on Jesse. If he wants to take Jesse, what are they going to do about it?
Yeah.
There's very little they can do. He's got guns. He's got friends. Maybe his friends don't let him. Maybe they do. How do you know? You don't know.
Yeah.
And that's a shitty feeling. That's a shitty feeling to be out there without the ability to defend yourself. So Lee, having been in countless hairy situations the globe over, I'm guessing, goes, all right, I know how to handle this guy. Stand over there. I want to get your picture. He's like, oh, fucking cool. Yeah, I'm a badass. Now I'm going to stand here between these two guys we fucking... And then another great smash cut, they smash cut right to boom. She's in the back. Everyone's upset. They kill those guys in front of them. We don't have to see it. Yeah. We just see the effect it has on the group. And that is another great choice. We don't have to see everything. And I'm always talking about, we're always talking about on over at LSG, we're always talking about like, we don't need to smash you over the head with a plot. Where's the subtext? This movie's full of it.
Yeah.
You don't need it to be like, well, here are the bad guys and here's why. And here are the good guys and here's why. And we're just so trained, not to go back to this, but I know we will a bunch of times. We're just so trained to not go forward. We're obstinate. I can't go forward in my thinking about this movie until I know whose side I'm on. Like, stop.
Yeah.
That's the point. We're trying to deprogram the fucking sides.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, and so you find out that those two guys are basically accused of looting.
Yes.
By these gas station guys. And that's why they're hanging there and have been for a couple days while they, quote unquote, decide what to do with them.
Yeah.
And then comes one of the most interesting lines in the film when the guy, Dave, or whatever his name is.
It's Dave, yeah.
Yeah. Goes, yeah, I went to high school with that guy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We didn't talk much, but I knew him. Or I forget exactly how it's phrased, but it's like, yeah. And now you've got him hanging.
Exactly.
For the crime of attempting to loot. I'm going to guess he didn't get anything.
Right.
You beat the hell out of him for a number of days. And yet now you're going to ask these photojournalists, oh, you know what? We can't decide what to do with him. You tell us. What should we do? Yeah. Should we just shoot him? Should we beat him up and torture him for another couple of days and then maybe let him go?
It's fucking crazy.
And then he goes, or we could flip a coin. And it's like, okay, so we're dealing with psychosis here.
He's fucked, that guy.
And many of the people, like, you don't ever get to know what side they are on.
No,
they're just the
political side, exactly.
Yeah, they're just the kind of people who will thrive in a situation like this where they can take the power to act out on their fucking psychotic behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is I think if there's any line in the movie that's trying to say, you see what I'm trying to say? It's that. Yeah, like we went to high school together. Yeah. We didn't talk much. Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have talked a little bit more.
Exactly. There's so much tied up in that line.
Right. It's great. And in that moment, it's funny because you think, okay, you can't let yourself be looted. I get it. But boy, where does the punishment meet the crime? Like, you didn't chase them off. You didn't send them. You didn't say, oh, they killed 3 of our guys. Yep. You didn't say, they tried to loot us. And why are they still here? You should just run them the fuck off. Yep. I don't know. Or kill them. Whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it's not like they were shot in the act of looting or something like that. No, they were caught and are being tortured.
It's crazy.
So, yeah, we've gone past anything resembling a justification.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, and that's, and it's funny because Lee goes down there, and I think when Lee sees, she gets a bad vibe from Dave. We all do. Everyone watching the movie gets a bad vibe from Dave. Right?
Yeah.
Dave got a bad vibe.
Yeah.
And then when we see the 2 guys hanging, the tension just goes tick, 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 tick.
Yep.
Because now we go, oh, okay, great.
And you think, oh, they hung up. And I think that he introduces them as looters first before we get signs of life from them.
Correct. You're not sure they're alive at first.
No, exactly. I figured they were dead. And then all of a sudden, the one guy, the one he went to high school with goes, please, I have kids. And it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This got so much darker, so much faster.
So much faster. Yeah. It's and that is just the beginning of multiple
Of their
different
journey, yeah.
sequences that you go, hey man, this is really fucked. And it's just an important and stark reminder. But I think we will take a quick break. I think we will we'll top off our drinks. We'll hit the bathroom. But I think this is where the Lost Drive-In and the YouTube episodes will conclude. But we're going to head over to the lounge, which is where our members-only content is. And I think we'll wrap this discussion up. There's probably another hour to go.
Yeah.
Is conservative
And it'll be the
estimate.
good stuff. So,
It'll be the good stuff.
So you really got to join.
Yeah, we're just warming up now. Now we're warm. Now it'll be awesome. But that was okay. Now it'll be amazing. So
Take our word for it.
take our word for it. But you will... So yeah, and that's that. So this is what we do. We give, I mean, for the most part, like I said, every once in a while we'll give a freebie. This one you're going to get the first hour on. Anything in the future, just go to lsgmedia.net. We have a ton of content over there, over 600 bonus episodes, 2 unique pieces of content every month or every other Tuesday where we're not kirking off with Nathan over there. And plans start at $5 a month. If you like it, support it. That's the way it goes.
And listen to Kirking Off.
It's like kirking off. It's fucking awesome. Our last episode was phenomenal. Actually, that they're listening to it today. It dropped today,
Oh, awesome.
Monday, not today. I'm talking in the future. In the future tense.
The future
The future.
in the Civil War.
Nice. Hopefully not.
Yeah. Let's
But,
not do this, people.
Let's not do this, people. But yeah, I don't want to take too long doing the pitch today. Just thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. If you can't spring for the 5, I get it. You're still going to get plenty of free content each week. And if you can support it, by all means, please do. $5 a month. It's great content. Extra coverage and all the stuff. Extended cuts, as it were. Go to lsgmedia.net. That's lsgmedia.net. Like, subscribe. You know the drill. Thank you guys so much for tuning into a little primer for Civil War. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. And if you remember, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.